We open with a visual of a dark and desert-like terrain where round black bloops form up from the ground and fall to the earth in the form of some nightmare-fuel-looking creatures, as if coming from another realm. Elsewhere atop a light post stands a mysterious figure dressed in black, a woman claiming she senses strong spirit energy nearby. We then cut to our main boy Ichigo Kurosaki, a 15-year-old high school student, kicking the shit out of some guys who were skateboarding by and accidentally knocked over a vase with some flowers. Why, you ask? Well, Ichigo is no ordinary teen. He has the ability to see the souls of dead people. The flowers were for a little girl whose spirit is still lingering about. Not sure why this kid would actually attack people for something like this, but alright. He yells at them to apologize and the little girl thanks him. Ichigo makes his way home and we get introduced to his family. First we have his pretty wild and zany dad, Isshin Kurosaki, who kicks the shit out of him as soon as he walks through the door for being late. Like father, like son, I guess. Then there's his sisters, Yuzu and Karin. Karin being the most special of the two because like Ichigo, she can see the souls of dead people. Isshin is aware of this but doesn't really seem to care, or maybe he just doesn't believe them. And their mother, Masaki Kurosaki, whose name and face we get from a poster on the living room wall, died 6 years prior. The next day, Ichigo heads back to the dead girl with new flowers. But she isn't there. She's actually in town getting chased by a giant goddamn centipede. Seeming a bit worried, Ichigo hears her screaming and rushes towards it. Though after seeing this thing in person, Ichigo turns tail and runs with the little girl. And suddenly, the mysterious woman appears. Again. She draws her sword, cuts the creature down, and after eyeballing our main boy, she kinda just rolls out. Later on that night, as Ichigo is laying in his room wondering about this woman, she casually just walks through the wall, entering his room. She says to herself, it's getting closer, completely ignoring Ichigo, who's yelling at her, so Ichigo of course does his thing and kicks the shit out of her. She's somehow shocked that Ichigo can see her, even though earlier Ichigo looked right at her and was clearly aware of her the minute she walked into his room. She reveals to her boy that she's a soul reaper, and that she was sent on a mission to their town from a place called the Soul Society to deal with monsters like the centipede we saw in town earlier. Now, I'm not really sure if she's even allowed to be giving away this information to anyone that can see her, but she chooses to do it anyway. Ichigo, not believing a word of this, calls her a brat and tells her to run along. She responds,
Bakudo number 1! Sight!
Well, that's neat. Anyway, she takes the hilt of her sword and bonks it on the head of a soul that followed Ichigo home. He's worried, scared that he'll go to the underworld, but the Soul Reaper informs him that he's going to go to a better place, the Soul Society, where his soul would be at peace, and that doing such things is one of the main responsibilities of a Soul Reaper. Why she didn't do this for the girl in town earlier, I don't know. She then goes into further detail that there are two kinds of spirits. Holes, which are normal good spirits, and evil hollows that attack people, living or dead, to devour their souls. She then even goes on about another responsibility that Soul Reapers have, which is to exorcise hollows. Again, why she's telling him all this is beyond me. Another hollow is chasing the little girl around again when she trips and falls. The hollow stops and says he smells an even better soul nearby with the smell of a Soul Reaper, and chooses to pursue that instead. Now, that's an interesting decision right there. Why would you just leave your free meal just because you smell something better? Especially when that something better is in the same vicinity as a Soul Reaper. Are hollows only capable of consuming one soul at a time? Because why else would you take such a risk? Am I overthinking this? Maybe. For some reason, Ichigo can hear the hollow and the Soul Reaper can't. Not until it's already arrived anyway. While rushing towards it, she even states that the spiritual pressure is amongst the strongest she's ever felt before. Karin's already been taken by the hollow when Ichigo throws himself down the stairs, sees all this taking place, and forces his way out of the spell the Soul Reaper put on him, and rushes to save his sister. You see, these hollows were after our main boy all along. Apparently his soul was exposed when he made contact with the little girl, and as it would happen, most of Ichigo's spirit energy was hidden within him until he needed to protect his sister. Hearing all this, and thinking it was all his fault, Ichigo runs into the street to face down the hollow like a complete idiot, instead of letting the Soul Reaper do her job. Ichigo's just about to get himself killed when the Soul Reaper swoops in, as in right into the mouth of the hollow to save Ichigo at the last minute, instead of just moving him out of the way. She rightfully calls Ichigo a fool and gives him her Soul Reaper powers, because she is too injured to fight. We get her name, which is Rukia Kuchiki, and Ichigo kills the hollow to a pretty banging soundtrack with no difficulty whatsoever. Rukia says she only intended to give Ichigo half her powers, but he nearly took all of it. So now we have Ichigo Kurosaki, high school student, and now Soul Reaper. In the next episode, we get a bit more of Ichigo's day-to-day life at his school, Karakura High School. Fellow classmates, notably Orihime, Chad, and oh wait, what's this? Somehow Rukia got into their school overnight. Turns out she can't return to the Soul Society because she's too weak. Huh. She got herself a Gigai body she can use to appear as normal human girl so everyone can see her and talk to her, and until her powers come back, Ichigo's gonna have to play her part for a while. Why doesn't she just call for backup or inform the Soul Society that she was heavily injured in battle and needs someone to spot her for a while? Or I don't know, have Ichigo give her powers back? LOL, that's why. I mean, for God's sake, she gets orders from the Soul Society on her cell phone. And although Ichigo doesn't want to do her job, she uses a special glove to remove his soul from his body to bring out his Soul Reaper form, which is definitely not how that worked the night before, but okay. They travel to a park where a boy is being attacked by a hollow, but Rukia plays a little game. You see, Ichigo can't resist helping someone in need, especially now with his new Soul Reaper powers, but Rukia stops him and gives him a good talking to.
Wait, hold on!
What is it?
That boy's a complete stranger, isn't he?
So what? I can't just stand by and let this happen. You expect me to watch him die?
Don't be such a fool!
Huh?
In the eyes of a Soul Reaper, all the spirits of this world are equal. Getting involved simply because spirits are nearby or they need help isn't how it works. Leave him be! If you intend to help this child, then commit yourself to saving every spirit.
And of course, Ichigo saves the kid, but then goes on with some shenanigans about how he saved the kid because he wanted to, and that Rukia was similar when she saved him, and that you don't think about your duty when you save someone. And I'm just sitting here a little confused as to why it even matters why you're doing it when you're getting the same thing done for the same exact outcome. Ichigo then says he's choosing to be different, even though his reasons for saving people and fighting hollows makes no difference as to what Rukia wants him to do. And so yeah, he's going to be a Soul Reaper for a little while now. So Ichigo Kurosaki, high school student, substitute Soul Reaper. Fast forward the next few episodes, Rukia is crashing in Ichigo's room, and we get some juicy info. 1. Fucking up a hollow with a Soul Reaper's sword, a Zanpakuto, is not the same as killing it. Instead, the Zanpakuto cleanses its soul and allows it to enter the Soul Society. Now, despite this fact, Soul Reapers almost always refer to cleansing hollows as killing them, so keep that in mind. Now, I assume it's a sword specifically since Orehime's brother turns into a hollow and kills himself with Ichigo's sword, and Rukia sets us all fine. 2. Soul Reaper's souls taste the best of hollows. And 3. Zanpakuto can only cleanse the souls of hollows who did bad things after they'd already become hollows. If they committed horrible crimes while living, their soul is sent to the underworld instead of the Soul Society. By episode 6, we get introduced to Kisuke Urahara, a candy shop owner who's been providing Rukia with the means to sustain her Gigai, and even gives her a little something for Ichigo to transform into his Soul Reaper form when she's not around that inserts a Marge soul into his body until he's returned back to it. In episode 7, Ichigo meets this Kisuke Urahara.
Just who are you guys anyway?
I'm not sure how to answer that question.
From a meta perspective, it's obvious that this really vague and arbitrary dialogue is just here to stop Kisuke from revealing too early that he's an ex-Soul Reaper who lived in the Soul Society and knows basically everything about the world and Ichigo, and simultaneously one of the dumbest characters in Bleach. I'm not sure why narrative-wise he doesn't just come clean to Ichigo after this, other than just LOL plot. The bulk of the first few episodes mostly has Ichigo and Rukia going wherever hollows appear to cleanse them, a little monster of the week kind of thing with little subplots underneath to give the viewer more info on the side characters. But all is not well and is soon to take a turn for the worst. You see, Rukia is in big trouble by her superiors in the Soul Society, and is soon to have her brother Byakuya and his partner Renji come to extract the sorry ass and bring her back to the Soul Society. But before the Soul Society actually sends them, another Soul Reaper is dispatched to find Rukia to see about why she hasn't returned home yet, and if need be, bring her back home himself. He finds Rukia no problem, and after realizing that she's given powers to Ichigo, he says,
Rukia, that's a big mistake. What you've done is considered a serious crime.
But after they get interrupted by a powerful hollow that Ichigo chases off, he kinda just leaves, completely disregarding the reason he was sent there in the first place. Huh. Well, that was kinda pointless, but we did find out that Rukia giving her powers to someone else is a big bad. Also, Ichigo has a Quincy friend now. There were a group of people who are all about killing hollows, not cleansing, but completely destroying. That's a very important distinction. Anyway, most of them were killed hundreds of years prior by Soul Reapers because their killing of hollows screwed with the balance that Soul Reapers were trying so hard to keep, and would eventually cause the destruction of the fucking world, and when they say world, it's implied that the Soul Society is included, so kinda just the entirety of Bleach. And despite the warnings from the Soul Society, the Quincy's continue the nonsense. I guess they just love shooting their blue arrows at hollows, so yeah, the Soul Reapers kinda had the high ground in that one. And Uryu, our Quincy boy here, actually agrees. The problem is Uryu has a chip on his shoulder, so he does some BS to draw out hollows and prove Quincy's are better than Soul Reapers by seeing who could defeat more between himself and Ichigo. Now, why doesn't this Quincy kid just challenge Ichigo directly to some sort of fight? I don't know. For some reason, he'd rather put innocent people in danger. At first, he's pretty confident he can take all the hollows, but a Menos Grande eventually appears and freaks out Rukia. These big hollows are formed by hundreds of regular hollows merging together and becoming one, and are so powerful something called the Royal Special Task Force from the Soul Society has to be deployed for them. It's so powerful, Uryu's arrows that used to shred normal hollows can barely put a dent in it. But fear not, because Ichigo is big strong, and he overwhelms the Menos Grande with his insane spiritual pressure. So hooray. Also, this same power is the reason why Kisuke's been keeping an eye on him, apparently. The next episode kicks off the main plot of the entire anime. Rukia packs her things one night and leaves the Kurosaki clinic, leaving Ichigo a note thanking him. Her brother Byakuya and his partner Renji have finally arrived. How Rukia knew to leave at this very moment mere seconds before they arrived is coincidence, I suppose, though Renji eventually stops her while she's running from the clinic and questions her about the whereabouts of the humans that stole her powers. I guess he and Byakuya somehow didn't take note of the incredibly high spiritual pressure coming from Ichigo, who's literally just letting it pour out of him at all times, which is mostly power Rukia gave him, so I'm not sure why they didn't just pinpoint him in the very beginning. Rukia denies it was a human who stole her powers, but Renji doesn't buy it and is certain of this because
it's obvious. Just look at you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have that stupid human expression on your face.
You're a runt from the Rukon district like me. And yet you were taken in by the noble house of Kuchiki. They put a lot of time and money into making you the perfect Soul Reaper, one of the elite. Huh? Am I wrong? You're the great Rukia Kuchiki, aren't you?
Wow, that dialogue was awful. Thanks for the exposition on the Kuchiki clan, though. Byakuya then shows up looking real cool and sexy, and Renji attacks Rukia while she has her back turned and is enamored by her brother's presence. She narrowly avoids getting seriously injured, but why would Renji do such a thing? Why exactly is he so hostile towards Rukia here? He thinks someone stole her powers and not that she had given them away, so what's with all this evilman behavior? We find out later that these two are actually really good friends, and Renji's a really nice guy. But he's acting really out of character here. The animation and voice acting makes him come off as evil and malicious and to someone he actually really cares about. He's actively trying to kill her, and even though he's not supposed to, Byakuya kind of just watches and lets it happen. Anyway, Uryu senses the other Soul Reapers and shows up to give Rukia a hand. Back at the Kurosaki clinic, Ichigo finds a note and Kisuke shows up to help him into his Soul Reaper form and find Rukia. The hell is with all these damn flower petals tonight? Ichigo gets over to Rukia just as Uryu's getting his ass kicked, but he's there with no Kisuke. Not sure where he went, but whatever. Ichigo and Renji get into it, and would you look at this riveting fight scene between two Soul Reapers.
Come on! What's wrong? Is that big sword just a show?
Renji reveals his Shikai, a Janpakuto's release form, and slaps Ichigo for a bit until he gets a main character power-up and reveals Renji's hairline in return. Ichigo was actually about to defeat this guy, but at last, Byakuya gets tired of the bull, drops Ichigo, breaks his sword, and leaves with Rukia through a magic portal Renji opens up with his sword. Also, just before they left, Renji says if Rukia even touches Ichigo again, they, meaning the higher-ups in the Soul Society, will add 20 years to her sentence. Now wait a minute. What do you mean 20 years to her sentence? Her sentence is death. Hell, even Kisuke knows that. Speaking of Kisuke, Ichigo's just kinda lying there dying, and Kisuke shows up to save him. So I guess Kisuke just helped Ichigo into his Soul Reaper form and told him where Rukia is, just to watch him fight and get beat up. What the hell, Kisuke? What if Byakuya killed this kid? The next morning, he tells Ichigo he actually let him get fucked up because he wanted him to understand that currently he's too weak and stands no chance against other Soul Reapers. Again, it's pretty lucky that Byakuya didn't just kill Ichigo, especially since that was nothing but an unnecessary risk. Kisuke doesn't even know what kind of man/Soul Reaper would have been sent for Rukia. I think he knew Byakuya when he was a kid, but that was like 100 years ago. I mean, hell, if Kisuke thought it would be pointless telling Ichigo how powerful the people in the Soul Society are because I guess Ichigo wouldn't listen, why didn't he just use himself as the example, since he's much more powerful than Ichigo? But hey, maybe Kisuke just really doesn't give a shit if Ichigo dies or not. He certainly doesn't act like he would. Anyway, Ichigo wants to save Rukia but doesn't know how to get to the Soul Society, so Kisuke makes a deal with him. He train with him for 10 days and he'll tell him how to get to the Soul Society. According to Kisuke, Soul Society normally takes a month to execute someone, so he'll have 10 days to train Ichigo, 7 days to open the gate to the Soul Society, and 13 days to actually save her once he gets there. It doesn't make sense for a few reasons. Why the hell would Kisuke want or allow Ichigo to be in the Soul Society for that long? This should be a get in and get out kind of mission, a few days long at most. Kisuke is much stronger, older, and more experienced than Renji as a Soul Reaper, so why can't he just use his Zanpakuto to open a portal like Renji just did the night before, and give himself even more time to train Ichigo? And why didn't Kisuke introduce himself and start training Ichigo from the very beginning? He knew since at least episode 2 who Rukia was, and what she had done and what the consequences would be. He even sensed Byakuya and Renji before they arrived in Karakura Town. Hell, even when the time came for Ichigo to enter the Soul Society, Kisuke left out key information that Kubo essentially just wrote that way to prolong the show. Not only that, but you'll start to notice Kisuke and even the main big bad of the entire show are written to be more akin to a plot device than actual characters. But we'll get into more of that later. Ichigo goes back to school once more before his training kicks off and has a little chat with Orihime, giving her a quick little rundown of the situation.
Because I know she's in serious trouble and they just might kill her if I don't get her out in time.
Ichigo, what the hell? They are going to kill her. Kisuke told you this. Do you not believe him, or is it just more bad dialogue? We get a clip of Rukia in the Soul Society being held prisoner talking to Renji about her brother and her execution. I don't know why Rukia just doesn't try to explain herself to Renji and her brother. It's against the law in the Soul Society for Soul Reapers to give their powers away to humans, but Ichigo isn't just any old normal human. He could already see and interact with souls long before he met Rukia, plus Ichigo's been doing her job for months now, helping to keep the balance and everything. And would this not be a good argument to present in Soul Reaper Court? Don't know. Rukia never really tries to make an argument as to why she should be spared and why her decisions were actually necessary and justified. Now, even though I skipped over a lot of the finer details and problems in the beginning of the series, you should know there's still much more left to criticize. I just really wanted to get to the next arc in Bleach that's hailed by most fans to be the biggest point the show ever reached in terms of overall quality. But this is where the world building and universe really begins to fall apart for me. In fact, something unique with Bleach is that not only does it get worse as it continues, but previously established characters, plot lines, and motives get worse as well. But before that, I should probably mention a few things about Kisuke's training. The first lesson is getting Ichigo's spirit energy back, since apparently he's lost it, but it's easier enough to regain. All Ichigo needed to get it back is have his soul removed from his body and get chased around by someone who he perceives to be a genuine threat to him. No, I'm not kidding, that's it.
Spirit energy increases a lot faster when the soul is in danger of being destroyed. We just needed to find out if you'd be able to raise yours fast enough to dodge that fatal punch.
And if I hadn't succeeded?
Then you would have died.
Lesson 2, Kisuke breaks Ichigo's soul chain and drops him into a big hole. He has 72 hours to get back to the top while having his arms bound, otherwise his soul chain will consume itself all the way up to his chest and he'll become a hollow.
By the end of that time, if you have not returned to the top of the shaft as a Soul Reaper, then we will have no choice, Ichigo, but to kill you.
Cleanse, Kisuke. I think you meant to say cleanse. Which would actually send him to the Soul Society. But if Ichigo succeeds, he'll get his Soul Reaper powers again because somehow he lost that too. You see, Byakuya nearly killing Ichigo by stabbing these little spots on his chest made him lose not only his Soul Reaper powers, but all his spirit energy as well. A bit iffy, but okay. I just hope Kubo stays consistent with all this. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. Ichigo's not able to get out of the hole in time and begins turning into a hollow, then suddenly he wakes up into a different world. His inner world. He sees a man there wearing a pretty sick coat and he tells Ichigo his name, though Ichigo cannot hear it. He says that the Soul Reaper power he lost was only the power that Rukia had given him, and that in fact Ichigo had Soul Reaper powers of his own.
Yes, the Soul Reaper power you have was awakened with the help of Rukia Kuchiki's own power. It hid itself in the very depths of your soul an instant before Byakuya Kuchiki's thrust.
And this doesn't make sense. What do you mean Ichigo's own power hid itself before Byakuya's thrust? Kisuke just said that his spirit energy increases when you're in danger, so why did Ichigo's own power hide itself? How does that even work? What Kisuke said literally in an episode before this about one's own power increasing to try and protect them makes far more sense than this bull. What should have happened was instead of hiding away, Ichigo's own power should have risen in an attempt to protect him from danger, like he did against Renzi while he was still in his Soul Reaper form. At least for the sake of consistency, but regardless, Ichigo makes it out of the hole as a Soul Reaper wearing a hollow mask. Nice little wink wink there for later. We're on to the third and final lesson, which is knocking Kisuke's hat off his head. During this little fight, Kisuke reveals his Zanpakuto Shikai, and Ichigo learns the name of his own Zanpakuto. Gaining his own Shikai form and new ability, Getsuga Tencho. It's a fairly basic ability where his spiritual pressure is sent forward from the blade of his sword in the form of a blue slash, which I'm pretty sure he's actually done before, though he doesn't know the name of it yet. He uses that to get Kisuke's hat off, and that was the end of the lessons. Not the worst training I've seen, but far from the best and can barely even be called serviceable. All Kisuke did was help Ichigo get his own Soul Reaper power, but not much training was actually done. For instance, Kisuke didn't teach Ichigo how to control and better use his own spiritual power, which he just got, didn't help him improve on fighting with his sword even though Ichigo was about to go up against centuries-old beings, far more experienced than him, and didn't give him any information on said beings which he'll be fighting later, and he didn't even mention anything about the spells Soul Reapers can cast in battle. Offensive, defensive, and healing. So Ichigo's just gonna have to rely on his power level and nothing more, simply being strong and fast. Man, it seems he really doesn't give a shit. Still, we finally get to Ichigo leaving for the Soul Society in episode 20, but he's not alone. Chad, Uryu, and Orihime are all going with him. Not sure why Kisuke or Tessai aren't going, especially since this guy and his friends have a huge vested interest in making sure Ichigo not only lives, but succeeds on his mission. But as far as Ichigo's friends, they've all been training just like him and have gotten stronger, but Ichigo isn't good at sensing stuff like that, so we can't really tell. Orihime has magic hairpin fairy powers that can shield and heal people with some light offensive attacks. Uryu, who we already know is a quincys, should now have an even higher power level than before, and Chad hits things really hard. Also, Kisuke's cat Yoruichi's going with them. Now, this whole setup makes no sense. For some reason, there isn't any mention or discussion amongst our characters as to where in the Soul Society they'll appear, or how they'll be able to make their way to Rukia and get her out safely without everyone getting themselves killed. And even if they make it out, surely the gang would still be pursued by a bunch of Soul Reapers. This is the biggest obstacle they face, even if they actually save Rukia, but no one clears this up. In fact, this whole plan is pretty shit, and these guys are seriously unprepared for all this. But Kisuke sends them off anyway, with no real way of succeeding on this mission. And so off they go with about 20 days till Rukia's execution.